Hello, everybody. Sorry, we're a little bit behind. We're going to get going with today's webinar, which is part 2 of A Bird's Eye View, where we continue diving into the upcoming ESG legislations that will impact your business. Before we begin, and while we let everybody start coming in, there's a movie we would like to show you. So we'll go ahead and play that.
Our planet is under pressure, and there's no planet B. Shifting consumer demand is driving both innovation and regulation. Sustainability isn't a choice, it's a must. But it is not always easy navigating through the alphabet soup of ESG. Take this pen. It is so much more than just a pen as a communication tool. Before you write down a note or a grocery list, it has gone through a journey. Sustainably sourced bamboo, assembled in audited factories, packed in recycled cartons, shipped to Europe, printed responsibly, sent in 24 hours after print approval, made for a lot of meaningful messages, and to be recycled as much as possible. Every step documented in a digital product passport, mandatory for textiles in 2027 and for other products in 2028. No more vague claims like green, unless backed by verified proof. But there is more. At Solo, we manage over 2,500 products, 30,000 SKUs, hundreds of materials, and 17 printing techniques. And for a market leader, this can already be a lot. But for our clients, it is also more than just a pen. It is a lot of work which they often don't have time. And that is why at Solo, we have Act for You, a framework where all key sustainability topics come together in 4 pillars, where we act on climate change, act on social circumstances, act on supply chain transparency, and act on change, sharing our knowledge to help our customers to navigate through the alphabet soup of ESG. Also with ESG focusing on our main promise, making it easy.
Hello again.
Good morning.
So I'm Victoria from marketing. And before we begin, I just want to point out a few things. As you noticed on the right side of your screen, there is the panel there where we will have all our interactions. Let's go ahead and start with the first one just to gauge who's joining us. So if you click on the right side, you'll see a poll pop up. And we want to know if you have joined us for part 1 already and you're coming back, or if this is your first time and you haven't been here before. And while you do that, I also would like to share that after this webinar, we will be sending an email with the link to the recording of the webinar and the presentation. And if you want to learn more about what was discussed today, you can find all that information on midocean.com under ESG Academy. All right, let's see. Okay, nice. Okay, cool. We see that we have some old comers and some newcomers. That's great to see. If you're here for the first time, welcome. This is Marcia. She is our ESG expert here at Solo with over 19 years of experience within ESG. So Marcia, where do we start?
Well, yeah, thank you and welcome. Thank you for the nice introduction. I'm one of the ESG experts here at Solo Mid-Ocean, so in Solo Group. So don't think I'm the only one. We have a whole team supporting us. So where do we begin? Well, at Solo Group, we begin with Act for You. And Act for You is our framework based on 4 pillars on where we base our ESG strategy on. I'm not going to go through all the 4 pillars because you can find them on our website as well. Like Victoria already said, it's underneath the ESG chapter and you can find everything that you need to know about Act for You. But if we look at the pillar to change, this is where we say we want to share our knowledge and our information with all who wants to listen. So that's definitely you. And that's also why we are conducting these webinars, because we want to share the knowledge. We know that there's a lot of miscommunication or just, you know, things which are not really clear in the landscape of ESG.
Very complex.
Yeah, and especially if we look at legislation, I've watched a lot of webinars myself, usually conducted by legal experts. And if you listen to the tone of voice or the use of wording, it's just so complicated to understand. So this is our way to try to make it easier for you how to and what to expect from legislation in the upcoming, well, years maybe even. So let's start with the alphabet soup of ESG. So the alphabet soup, we already know it, like it's a million abbreviations, acronyms, anything floating around. So first, let's start with ESG. So ESG is environmental, social, and governance. That's ESG. ESG is the framework. How are we going to conduct sustainability in our company? ESG guides us in what we can and cannot do, or what we should or should not do. If we look at the E from environmental, so last time, and if you haven't seen it, if you're a first viewer here, we really suggest that you watch our first part 1 webinar. But there we ticked off the eco design, we ticked off the single-use plastics very quickly. So in E, in the environmental, there are basically legislation which has to do with the impact on the environment of different products or even companies. The S for social, so looking at social, it is more about the whole supply chain and about the social impact that we have as importers in the EU on the whole value chain. Working conditions, better cotton, goods, everything like that. And the G for governance, so the governance is more the backbone of everything. What are we doing? How are we doing that? And which tools are we using to conduct this? So everything that we are doing has to do with not only with this, but we have to be compliant to the CSRD, so which is the Corporate Social Responsibility Directive, again, explained in our previous webinar. So we did that, and we explained the Green Claims Directive and the greenwashing legislation last time. Those two are a little bit hovering around above everything that we're doing on ESG. So the reason why we're doing this is because we need to be zero as a European continent in 2050. Net zero means we have to reduce our emissions by at least 90% in comparison to a benchmark here, so that we are left with not much more than 10% of our original greenhouse gas emissions. And this is really, really difficult, because this means that we have to look into the whole supply chain. We have to look at us as a company, but we also have to look at us as people. How are we handling the stuff that we're handling? Now, for today on the agenda, we have a lot to talk about. So I'm trying to get a little bit of a pace here, but there is the Q&A section that Victoria was talking about. So if you have anything, pop it in the Q&A, and then we'll try to...
If you have questions, sorry, I forgot to mention, if you do have questions, please go ahead and pop them in, but we will leave all of that till the end, because we do have a lot to cover. So there will be a live Q&A at the end.
Yeah. So for today, we will cover producer responsibility, packaging, and deforestation. The abbreviations EPR, PPWR, EUDR. But to make it easy, producer responsibility. Let's start with that one. So producer responsibility basically isn't a separate legislation, a separate law or anything. It means that the importer has to pay, the producer has to pay. At the moment, or before EPR, producer responsibility, we as a consumer were paying, everyone was paying this the same amount of taxes on packaging or on clothing or anything like that. That was the current situation. Now the new situation will be that me as a consumer, I'm going to pay for the specific product taxes on that product. It sounds very complicated, and basically it is, but just remember that instead of everyone sharing the same amount of money, we're now going to be much more focused on the products. That part is already, always calculated based on kilograms per price. So kilograms in plastic, kilograms in textile, anything that you put on the market in the European Union for the first time.
So that means that different product weight, like it can have a really high price if it weighs a lot more than something like a bottle versus something like, I don't know.
Yeah. No, you're
electronic
correct.
of something.
Or like
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. So last time we already talked about the eco-design for products. So it's also very important for us as importers to make our products as light but still as good as possible, so that you as a consumer, you pay less of that tax, because the lighter the product, less tax you pay. And it's like it differs per product.
Yeah.
So if we look at this, everything is being initiated because of the circular economy, because we need to pay for the whole recycling system. Now, it starts with design, like I said, the eco-design already. During production, we have to take care that everything can be recycled very easily, instead of everything glued together, screwed together. We have to think about the distribution. We have to think about the reuse and repair. So not only just use it and throw it away, but how can we repair products? We have to think about waste collection and about recycling. And this whole circle is being financed by the EPR, the Extended Producer Responsibility. Now, it's different for a washing machine than it is for a bottle. A washing machine, in general, per kilogram has less EPR fees, because it's much easier to recycle already. We can pick it, you can dismantle it, thank you, much easier than we can with a plastic bottle. Now, everything depends on the materials used. So there's a textile EPR, there's plastics EPR, but everything, and there's metal as well right now, but everything also has to do with eco-modulation. So the more sustainable products we bring to market, the less we pay on EPR fees. This is to stimulate us as importers, or to stimulate the producers to use much more recycled material, to use much more organic material. So this is how it's stimulated. So the more sustainable products have a less higher fee for us to pay. Everything is organized via a PRO. So this is a producer responsibility organization. These organizations differ per member state, and even the money, so the fee that you pay can differ per member state.
Can you give an example of a PRO?
PRO. So in the Netherlands, no, let me give you an example for France. In France, on the PRO, the one for textile is refashion. So you have to register it at refashion when you're an importer in France of textiles. And there you have to register how much textiles you're importing, you put on the market, the kilograms, and again, the eco-modulation. So how much is organic, how much is, and that's how they calculate the money that you have to pay to them.
Okay.
In the Netherlands, a PRO for textile, we have a PRO for textile as well, where we are registered, and we pay the money to that PRO. That PRO, so the Producer Responsibility Organization, makes sure that the money that we pay goes to this whole cycle. So it goes to recycling those products and to make sure that they're dismantled and recycled in the most best way ever possible. So it's a financial contribution that is written down in EPR. EPR, again, it's a part of different legislations. It's a financial contribution, it's a collection target about recycling and recovery targets and design requirements. And that brings us back to our part one, to the eco-design. And we have to report. We have to be very, very keen on what we are importing into the European Union. You are responsible for EPR when you're the importer to the European Union, or you're an importer to a European Union member state.
Okay.
So if I imported in Germany, who currently doesn't have an EPR on textiles, for instance, and if we export it then from Germany to the Netherlands, and in the Netherlands there's an EPR scheme, then you are responsible for that part, the one who brings it first to market in the member state.
Okay. Those would be usually the suppliers.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Just a little example of how it can work in the Netherlands. So in the Netherlands, there's Go Droppy. It's a funny name, but because droppy, it also means licorice, a little bit like in Dutch.
Yeah, drop.
Drop, yeah. So they are more like a recycling center. You can go to there, you download
App.
the app, then you can register there all the products that you bring to their recycling system, their recycling hub, and they will make sure that the products are recycled. Like they have a hub where they can recycle a pen or tennis balls even, which was really interesting to see that a lot of tennis balls, and they find the recycling companies to recycle that material into, in the case of tennis balls, into tennis balls again. Oh. Which is so funny. Yeah, it's so it's really, and this is in the Netherlands, but in a lot of different member states, we have different of these systems in place. Yeah. Now a little bit concrete, starting in the most polluting one. So there's the packaging, there's textile, and there's electronics. And in these, so in PPWR, we'll cover it a little bit later. But in textile, the waste directive framework, the WE and the batteries directive, those are all EPR schemes. So there's all an EPR part in that legislation, telling us as an importer to pay on those products, based on those products. So everyone has its own PRO and it has its own rules. So at the moment, let's take France, for example. So in France, there's an EPR for textiles. Like we already said, you have to register at refashion with all the textiles that you're importing. So for us as Solo, we import a lot of textiles to France, so we also contribute a lot to the EPR schemes. But if we look at Poland, for instance, the waste framework, which is for textiles in place right now, in Poland, you only have to register how much you're bringing to market. You're not paying anything as an EPR yet. Because as we speak, and this is the dynamics right now in ESG legislation, just about 1.5 weeks ago, that framework directive was changed, that all the member states have to have an EPR scheme in place by 2028. Which means every member state of the European Union, if you're importing to that member state, you have to pay EPR, extended producer responsibility. There's no money where they say it should be €1 or €1.50 or 50 euro cents. That's still under debate. But every member state is going to implement the EPR for textiles.
Will it probably depend on how much it weighs and the materials used?
Again,
and all of those things?
Yeah. Okay. Eco-modulation, of course, it will be in place. Oh. If you want to know a little bit more about EPR, we have an overview on our website. So check out midocean.com, click on ESG, the section ESG, and then Academy, and there you can find a little bit more about all the EPR schemes which are right now in place. So this is the next part. So eventually, every state in the European Union will have an EPR scheme. This means that we have to work towards more granular information on all the data that we have, and especially on the eco-modulation. So we're working more and more. I know that we have like 99% of our textiles, our wearables are already with an official eco-modulation certificate. So that's good. So going back to how can we support you? So we will support you in everything that we can do. So we can give you the documentation. We have the explanation on the website. And if there's anything that you struggle with, reach out to us. We cannot do the PRO for you. We cannot do the registration at the Producer Responsibility Organization for you, but we can help you with all the data that you need to send to them.
Is there somebody that can help them with that besides?
No, just Google PRO for your own member state. Okay. So, and then you will get that. Usually they're also very helpful.
Okay.
Okay. So that was EPR. That was a lot. I know. Let's go to packaging. Because in packaging, in the PPWR, which came into force this year, 2025, somewhere in February, there's also a part of the EPR. We have to pay money on our packaging. Mm-hmm. Now the packaging, I think you have a quiz in place, right?
Oh, yes.
Because there's a slide there as well, but we have it really like interaction. Yeah.
Yes. All right. Here is a question for you guys before we get started with this. How many packages is a person in the EU using per day? Is it
On
7
average.
on average? Is it 7 packages per day, 8 packages per day, or 9 packages per day? Go ahead and put your answers in. Let's see.
It was funny because when we were talking about this question, it was like, nah, I think about 2 or 3. But then if you think about it more, it's even if you eat like a energy bar, that's a packaging.
Oh,
If you I don't know, if you so there's a lot of packaging. If you take like the soup, the cup of soup, just like the instant noodle, packaging. If you open up
I eat protein bars every day.
then you have a lot
packaging.
of there you go.
All right, let's see. About 5 seconds left to get your answers in. All right, the answer is 7 packages per day. If you answered that, congratulations. You're contributing to the problem. No, just kidding. But there you go. There you have it. 7 packages per day. That's a lot. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And that's like I said, you don't realize how much packaging you handle a day. So, I mean, I have a very, very intimate relationship with my package delivery guy. So I'm opening up probably even more packaging as a day. But so that's also, when you get something delivered, it's in a box. That's exactly where the PPWR goes from.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
Yeah.
Let's continue. 1 second. Technical difficulties.
Challenges. Let's call it challenges.
Challenges.
Okay,
right.
so it's 7 packages a day. So the reason why there's I will continue because we have, again, a lot to talk about. So the reason why there's a PPWR, the Packaging and Packaging Waste Regulation, before it used to be a directive, because at the moment there's 27 countries and there's 27 systems. And the thing is, basically everyone is handling cross-border economics. So we sell across the border. And if a packaging is recyclable in the Netherlands, and if it's not recyclable in Germany or not recyclable in Belgium or France.
Yeah, like the statiegeld.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, statiegeld is a little bit like an EPR scheme that you bring back your packaging and you get money in return, so that they can recycle it very well.
But if you buy a bottle in France and you want to return it in the Netherlands for statiegeld, can you do that?
No, because you need to have that bottle registered in the Netherlands for statiegeld.
Okay. Statiegeld is where you return your bottles in the Netherlands and you get a few cents back or some money back, by the way.
To prevent litter.
Yeah.
And this is more about, let's say we have a packaging on one of our items, like this Bluetooth speaker. We have a packaging on this and we want it to be recyclable. Then right now we have to go through 27, before we had to go through 27 countries because everyone had their own recycling system. And the PPWR, the main goal is to make recycling the same in all the 27 countries. So we are working on getting that done. I mean, basically in every country, paper and board is recyclable. That's not the issue. But plastics is different in other countries. And I mean, plastics in some cases is still a very, very good packaging, a very sustainable, very good packaging, as long as you can recycle it well. So the thing with PPWR is that it came into place to make recycling a uniform for the whole European Union. The clear set of goals and with a clear set of labeling system, because, and this is where we go back to the past, everyone is using their own labels. The color of the bin, for instance, the color bin in blue in the Netherlands, it means paper. But it means something different maybe in Poland so it needs to be harmonized. So the European Union hasn't set the labeling system yet. They promised they were going to deliver us the labeling, the correct labeling that we need to print on the packaging this year. Now this year is running short, and so it can differ still. But so we will keep an eye out for that. But the thing is, it needs to be printed on your packaging. The one who brings the packaging first to market. So again, and this is to the European Union member state market. So if I bring a packaging to the Netherlands, I need to have this labeling system on there as well. And it will be starting from 2027, so we still have some time left. but it needs to have that labeling system on the packaging so that everyone knows what to do with the packaging.
And once the labeling system comes out, will we know that first and then we can inform everybody else?
Absolutely.
Everybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we will inform everyone else. For you, for our customers out there, if you are not reusing our packaging, but you have your own boxes ordered, make sure that you have the correct labeling in place from 2027 on. Now, recycling, of course, is the best, but we do understand that if you buy bulk from us and you send out smaller packaging, you need to make sure that there's the labeling on the boxes. But we'll keep you informed, and so keep an eye out for our information. So looking at the whole PPWR, it's not just about the recycling, but it's also about using recycled materials. So there are specific targets, objectives in the PPWR reaching out all the way to 2050, but the short-term target to 2030 is that in plastic, there needs to be 25% of recycled content. There in metal, it's 25% in 2030. And if we look at cardboard, it should be 70% in 2030. Now, cardboard, again, is basically the easiest because everyone can recycle cardboard all over the European Union. Plastic is still quite a challenge because there's just one type of plastic which is really, really good recyclable all over Europe. So there needs to be investments in recycling plastics. Another very important thing in the PPWR is focus on common sense packaging in e-commerce. Now, I just had it again. I opened up packaging last week. From an e-commerce shipment, and it was even, I mean, I ordered a really small box, but it came into like a big box, and I was even shocked.
That happens all the time.
Yeah. Well, it's tackled in PPWR. They say there's no, the maximum of error should be 40% in a packaging. Now that's still quite difficult for everyone because if you want to recycle your cardboard box, you have to, well, it needs to be filled up or something. So. Filling material and air is no longer allowed to be over 40%. So keep an eye out for that. And make sure that, because this is the first time that e-commerce is being tackled in one of the legislations. So in PPWR, e-commerce is being tackled because that was the biggest air shipper, let's say it like that. So common sense packaging. So there's a whole set of new rules in PPWR. So we have a harmonized labeling system. We need to increase our recycled materials and we need to focus on common sense packaging. But it also needs to be recyclable across the borders, every packaging that we have. We need to encourage reuse, refill, and collection. So in this case, maybe even think about if you're shipping large quantities to one of your customers, you can even think about reusable shipment packaging, like sending it out and bringing it back. And there's a ban on specific single-use plastic items. I'm not going into that now because, again, we have a lot to cover in EUDR, but there was already a ban on single-use plastics in the SUPD, Single-Use Plastics Directive. And now in the PPWR, there's another ban on specific single-use plastic products, packaging, sorry. So what we're doing for you, our responsibility is we are reducing the excess packaging already. So we are looking at, we have a specialist in place who looks at the packaging that we have and who is, together with our product design department, is redesigning the packaging of the product. But we are uplifting our recycling standards, recycled material and recycling possibilities. The labeling, we'll keep an eye out for the labeling as long as there's no delegated acts in place. We don't need that labeling, but as soon as it's there, we'll keep you updated.
Does all of this then reduce your EPR?
Yeah.
I got something. I understand.
Oh, cool. Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. Because eventually, if you have more recycled material in and you have the documents to show that, then you can say that there's
Nice.
Cool. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. So there's a gold star for you.
Thank you.
Okay, I hope you're still here with me because I know that we have a lot to cover, and but this is the one, the deforestation, the EUDR that we wanted to emphasize a little bit more on.
Yeah, and this is the last section of the webinar.
Yes.
So stay with us.
So stay with us. Try to get some caffeine in because this is going to be interesting.
Get your coffee.
Get your coffee. we get a lot of questions on EUDR. And again, there is a little quiz.
Oh, yeah. Another quiz.
Yeah.
We got to keep you guys engaged.
Yes.
Keep you awake.
It's a lot of sending there. So
yes. All right. Go ahead and look to that side panel again. I have another quiz for you. So there is a loss of 18 football fields due to deforestation every day, every hour, every minute. What do you think? Go ahead and answer your
18 football.
answers.
You know, a football field.
By the way, that's soccer. Or
Soccer.
just
Okay. Yeah.
Just in case, I don't know. For me, I thought of American football fields, but
for me,
it's
football,
a soccer football field.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
What were you gonna say?
No, yeah, because I already think it's for me it's already a challenge to cross one football field, let alone 18.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, I'm not that sporty. No, I'm not.
All right, go ahead and make your last answers on the side there if you haven't already.
Predominantly per day. I think per day now has the overhand, huh?
Yeah.
23%.
A lot of you are answering on the day, hour. All right, last second. So the results, it's actually every minute.
Every minute.
Wow.
18, on deforestation, 18 football fields. So yeah.
In this time that we've been doing this webinar, I can't do that math, but that's a lot of football fields.
Yeah. We should have done that. We should have prepped that. Yeah. No, so yeah, that's shocking.
Yeah.
That's really shocking.
Yeah.
That's really shocking. It was also, preparing for the webinar, we were looking at some facts and figures, and then this was just mind-blowing. Every minute, 18 football fields are just disappearing because of deforestation.
Wow.
Now let's hope the EUDR is going to
help with that.
To reduce it. So first, what does deforestation means? I think that's very important, because if I talk to people, I ask regularly, what does deforestation mean? And people think it's just cutting trees, but it's not just that. So deforestation, there's an actual definition. Deforestation means that anything that was a forest before the 30th of December in 2020, which is after this date, should stay a forest. Anything that was cut down before this time is still allowed to be cut down. So it can be cut down by human interaction. It can be natural, like fires or flooding or anything like that. So everything before, after that, so from the 31st of December in 2020, if forest disappears without it being a production forest. So this is forest located, or how do you say that?
Like native or old growth type of thing.
Like rainforest and stuff like that. Because of course there's also the production forest for the producers of paper. So they're allowed to do that because that's their raw material. But this is all on designated forest. So it's no longer allowed after that time. After the 31st of December 2020, if the trees are gone, it will be seen as deforestation. Deforestation is, so anything before 2020 that's still okay if it was cut down or flooded or anything like that. That's deforestation. Now, deforestation doesn't only apply on wood, and that's the biggest difference between its predecessor, which was the EUDR, which was the timber regulation, which was in place already since 2013, I think. 2013. There was already like something similar in place, but it wasn't really that intense as the EUDR is right now. So it's not only wood, but it's also cattle, it's soy, it's rubber products, palm oil, cacao. So everything and every product derived from this raw material. So in
chocolate.
Wood, leather, exactly. Or like you said, chocolate or coffee or coffee is not here, but should be here as well. So everything that's here and any product derived from that falls under the EUDR. That's important to know. That's a big difference. Oh, there's the coffee. Sorry, I had to click one. I was like, should be coffee there. We checked the presentation before. So also the coffee. Now the coffee industry, and we all know that the coffee industry is a really, really big industry. But so it's no longer allowed to grow coffee on what used to be forest after the 31st of December 2030.
2020.
2020, sorry, that would be. So the way that we can prove this, we should prove it, and we are obligated to prove it, is via a due diligence statement. Now this DDS, or due diligence statement, is something that all the companies have to provide by December 2025. So by the 31st of December 2025, the big companies have to comply with this, the large and medium-sized companies.
That's this year.
That's this year. Well, yes.
That's a few months from now.
Yeah, that's true. But I think it's 3 days ago on LinkedIn, there was a post that the European Commission sent in a letter to the European Parliament, or it was the other way around, that they need a delay of 1 year.
Oh.
So
yeah.
this is, again, dynamic in legislation, but they need a delay of 1 year because they say the IT systems are not ready yet.
Yeah, it's a lot of data.
Yeah. So the thing what we are doing, and we have a specialist working on this, is what we are doing, we're making sure that we as Solo Group, we will comply by the end of this year.
Okay.
But it could be that it will be postponed with another year.
And will resellers also need to show this, and they will get this from us?
I'll show you.
Okay.
So I'll show you later on. So right now, this is a time frame. So so by December this year, we need to comply as a big and medium company, and the smaller companies have to comply by June 26. Is as is. But if we have the delay, then everything will shift with 1 year. So compliancy means everything that is bought within Europe or is being imported into the European Union, you need to keep a reference, you need to store the documents, but you don't need your own DDS if it's bought within the European Union. You don't need your own DDS because the DDS is being provided by the one who imported it to the European Union.
Us.
But you do, us.
Us.
But you do have a legal responsibility. Now, importing and exporting to the EU, that's where you need the DDS. That's when your DDS, so due diligence statement, responsible. If we are importing the goods, if we are importing because it's all being focused on specific custom numbers, the HS codes. So the HS code of a paper notebook, for instance, that's located, that's designated in the EUDR. Then we importing it in the European Union, we have to comply with DDS, with EUDR, so we have a DDS. If you buy that product from us and you want to export it outside of the European Union, for instance, your customer is in the UK and you have to export it to the UK, you can request the DDS from us. We will provide it to you. When you keep it in the European Union, when you distribute it in the European Union, you don't need to do that due diligence statement. You rely on the one who imported the product. You can request the due diligence number, but you don't need to have that whole questionnaire being answered.
I have a question, because last time we spoke about the digital product passport. Is this information that has to be in there as well? Or is that separate?
No, that's different. The digital product passport is on a product itself, and a DDS comes via a batch. So it's all based on batch buying.
Yeah, it's on a higher level. Then the product is more, the digital product passport is more about product specific.
Yeah, and this is on orders.
On orders. Okay.
This is on orders. So on the product passport for, again, let's take this little device. The product passport tells here, like, this is the device and this is what you can do with it, and this is where you can repair it. This is the environmental impact. But internally, as Solo Group, we buy 1,000 of these products in 2 batches. So we have to sign, or we have to register for 2 DDS numbers. So every batch, although it stays the same product, every batch gets a new DDS, new due diligence statement. So this is also where it gets complicated, because how are we going to communicate that with the customer, with you? How can we show you that? How can we make that easy? So that's something that we're still, it's still a project internally to see how we are going to communicate about that DDS. But just know that as long as you're not importing or exporting the products in or from the EU, you only need to ask for the DDS. That's the legislative responsibility that you have. You need to ask for it. You don't need to have the whole questionnaire being completed. We are not going to give you the geolocation, the geoplotting, for instance, where the wood grew from this, because we're not obliged to do that.
Mm-hmm.
A question that I get a lot from customers is, but I'm FSC certified. So are we, by the way. But I'm FSC certified. So how does that work? Because EUDR and FSC are a little bit the same. Well, yes and no. So here are the biggest differences. So FSC is a voluntary certification. We chose to be FSC certificate. EUDR is a mandatory one, which is a legislation. So we have to comply. The purpose on FSC is promotes responsible forest management. And the purpose on EUDR, it means we want to prevent deforestation. And deforestation has to do with indigenous people, with ecosystems, with biodiversity. That's much more than FSC is. For FSC, the scope is global, and the EUDR is just for the European Union. So there are quite some differences. Now, the FSC, so the Forest Stewardship Council, or something like that. FSC is preparing a way to be compliant with EUDR as well. So that's a transition where they are in right now, because they do understand. For instance, we have a whole team here working on stuff like this. If you're a smaller enterprise, how are you going to do that? So they're working on that. The most important thing is that the scope is different, so the products are different. In FSC, there's cork incorporated. In EUDR, not yet. So probably EUDR will have more products coming in, or more materials added to deforestation as well. FSC is a logo that you can use. EUDR is the due diligence statement that you need per order, per batch. FSC, if this product is FSC certified, then we have the obligation for the whole chain of custody certification to make sure that the certification is still in place. But in this case, our FSC certificate is valid for all the FSC applicable products, where the due diligence statement for this product is only for this batch. And the next batch will have a new one. I hope that makes sense a bit.
A little bit.
Good. So how do we comply to you? We comply to you by providing you the due diligence statement eventually on request. So I hope we're still there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are?
We're there. I'm here.
Yeah, because I'm shouting in your ear.
Yeah.
So just to recap on what we covered today. So on webinar 2, we covered, it says eco-design. I'm so sorry. It's not eco-design. We covered the extended producer responsibility. So paying a fee to import specific materials into member states. We covered the PPWR, so the packaging rules. Eventually everything needs to be recyclable in every member state. That's the main goal of the packaging rules. And reducing the excess packaging.
Yeah, and harmonize.
And harmonize the labeling system. Yeah. And the last thing that we covered was the deforestation, the EUDR, which is a really high topic right now. We understand that. Again, we are preparing. We will make sure that we will be prepared by the end of this year. But just know that there is some talks going on delaying it with one year. And that was my part.
Nice. Thank you, Marcia.
You're welcome.
We just covered a lot of information. I'm sure you guys probably have lots of questions. So now we're going to open up the floor for those questions I see in the chat here.
They're in the chat.
Oh yeah, they're in the chat. Oh, open bar, what's this? So the first question we have is from David. This week, there are rumors that there will be another delay to the EUDR regulation until 2026. Is this agreed or still under discussion?
It's still under discussion. So it needs to be discussed by the European Parliament and Commission, and then it has to be signed off. But the thing is, Q4 already started. So if they're going to delay it, which, to be very honest, I think they will, because there's a lot of pushback from the market. I don't understand why, because I mean the systems are in place, and we can, if you have a team, then you are able to comply with it. But I do, so that's for the big companies. I do understand the pushback for smaller companies, because I think they need more help. But yeah, so that's still under discussion. We'll keep a close eye on what's happening there.
We'll keep you guys updated on that.
Yeah.
So next question from Michela. What happens with the current stock that don't comply with EUDR, if any? No exact geolocation and harvest date, for example.
Very good question. Thank you. You have a transposition period. So you have about a year. You have usually 10 months after the legislation comes into force to make sure that you have rotated your stock. So basically, in a year's time, you should be able to redo your stock. And what we are going to do eventually is about 6 months in, we will do an evaluation on our stock to check, is it still possible to get a DDS in? But stock which came in before the 30th of December 2025 has still about 10 months to be sold. So yeah.
Okay.
And as long as you can show those documents as well, then you need to show your due diligence responsibility. Yeah.
Next question from Sarah. Does the EUDR also include paper packaging?
Oh yeah, that's a good question, Sarah. Well, depends. If you sell packaging, then yes. If you sell the speaker, then no, because it's about the HS code, so your custom code, the import code of the product, and they do not include packaging. We are importing a speaker. We're not importing a packed speaker. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Okay. Now the other thing, and of course in like wave 2, 3, maybe even 4, probably they will incorporate packaging in the EUDR as well. Yeah, so for now it's about the product that you're importing, so the HS code that you're using for that. There's a whole list with the HS codes which are included in EUDR.
Next question from Ariana. Will resellers have to display DPP for textile in 2027?
Yeah, yes. That was a very short answer, but
yes.
The thing though is, Ariana, is on the digital product passport, there will be like waves in which information needs to be shared first. So not all, there's like 12 topics that probably need to be in the DPP, and they're still discussing that. And to ease the burden on all the documentation gathering, European Union says we're going to cut it up in small pieces. So the first wave needs to be decided via delegated acts on the DPP, on the ESPR, which information needs to be produced first. So yes, the answer is yes. Which information? Still not 100% sure.
Also, if you want to know more about the DPP, we did cover that in the part 1. So there's information in the first webinar, and also again under our ESG Academy on midocean.com. Next question. I'm so sorry I cannot pronounce your name. So Gung. So good.
Nice. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
For example, 100% recycled paper is not concerned by EUDR, right?
Correct. Yeah. Recycled materials are excluded from EUDR. again, that pushes us, if we, I mean, I'm not sure if we are all still there, but that shows that the eco-modulation for the EPR, so the importer pays, if you focus more on recycled materials, they're not covered by EUDR because they're exempt, plus you pay lesser fee. Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. We made it to the end of the webinar. I know that was a lot of information, but don't worry, you will receive an email after this with a link to the presentation, the recording, and I think that's it. So, and if you want to know more about what we discussed today, again, it's on our website under ESG Academy. The next webinar will be sometime in February 2026 next year, so please stay tuned for that. And look out for some more details coming soon. Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah, it's like you said, we will publish some articles about the information that we covered today on our website. If there's any questions, just reach out to us, reach out to your contact person, or reach out to us and ask the questions, because digest this information first.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yes, right. It is. Yes,
we hope you guys enjoyed today's webinar, and
thank you.
We'll see you next time. Thank you so much.
See ya. Bye-bye.